I was trying to decide actually what to do for my first year summer job. I was about, basically Bill and I had stayed in touch after I got out of Harvard. I went and visited him. First time I ever been in Seattle was the summer before I started at the GSB, because Seattle's kind of off the end of the earth. At least it felt that way back then. And so we'd stayed in touch. I was going through the first year. I loved first year. It was great. I was learning a lot of stuff. I wonder what I would have learned that second year. I really do, but
how to be a CEO, right?
Maybe that's when you learn that. And I was trying to decide what to do for summer job. And I basically, in my mind, I had four good thoughts. One was to join a consulting firm, still a popular option. One was to join Morgan Stanley, still a good option, I suppose. I was looking at Progressive Insurance, which was a relatively small insurer then, quite large now. Yeah. But I'd gotten to know the president when he interviewed me as an undergraduate at Harvard, and they were offering me kind of an assistant to the president job. That sounded kind of exciting to me. And then I was looking at Ford Motor Company, because I'm from Detroit. My dad was with Ford. The then CEO, I think, was a Stanford GSB alum, a guy named Don Peterson.
Don Peterson, yeah.
And so I'm trying to decide what to do for the summer. And normally, I guess you don't fly back and visit everybody for summer jobs, but for a variety of reasons, had a week scheduled on spring break. I was going to go see all these guys back in their home offices. So McKinsey, I was going to go visit in Chicago, and Morgan Stanley, and I went to Boston to see Bain and BCG. I went home to see Ford. I wasn't going back to Cleveland. No offense to Cleveland, but I just didn't have that as a stopping point. And Bill gave me a call and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, it's a 2-year program." He says, "Yeah, it's too bad. Maybe you should come up here." "No, you'd have to leave." "Nah." He said, "Hey, too bad you don't have a twin brother. We could kind of use somebody like you around here now." Yeah, too bad. Boom. I thought about it for a day, and I said, well, Bill's the smartest guy I'd ever met. And I always liked the idea. I wanted to work for smart people, and I didn't have that uniformly in my Procter & Gamble experience. I had it, but not uniformly. So really smart. And I didn't know much about the business. I'd written a few programs in my life, but I knew they were the world leader at an emerging thing. That's about really all I knew about the business. And Bill and I talked about it, but I was no expert. And so I called him back and said, "Hey, why don't I end my trip to see all these summer job companies? I'll come to Seattle and see you." And so I did. I came in, I talked to Bill, I talked to Paul Allen, who was his partner. Bill had his mom and dad work me over, which was his standard recruiting trick in the old days. His dad's like 6'7", and quite an imposing figure. Bill actually left me in Seattle by myself. He was going on vacation for the first time, so he kind of, "Okay, see you, Steve. Enjoy my house. Try to lock the door when you leave." And I thought about it and decided, Bill and I agreed we'd try it. If it didn't work out, I could quit or he could fire me at the end of the summer, and I'd come back to Stanford. So I went and talked to the folks in administration. They said, "That's okay, we'll take you back. Are you sure this is a good decision? Are you sure this is a wise decision?" I called my dad, who thought I was just about the craziest. My dad thought it was nuts. Completely nuts. Microsoft, what's that? What is it? What's software? My mom said, "Why does anybody need a computer?" This is 1980. And my dad was an immigrant, and he didn't go to college. And so he thought it was sort of triple nutty, and he had worked at Ford where everybody had. My dad thought it was nutty when I went to Stanford, because most of the guys he knew at Ford had Harvard MBAs, and he had to check it out. And when he found out this guy Don Peterson was okay, Stanford's okay, blah, blah, blah. So my dad was not. That was the toughest call I ever made in my life. But I went on up to Microsoft, and after 6 weeks, I decided I'd made a real mistake, and I should come back for the second year of business school. And I told Bill, and he said, Steve, let's you and me and my dad go out for dinner. So we did. And at dinner, Bill said to me, "Look, you don't get it. You may feel like you just joined to become the bookkeeper of a 30-person company, but we're going to put a computer on every desk in every home. And I swear that recruiting pitch to keep me wound up being the mantra of the company basically for the next 17, 18 years. 3 weeks later, I bought a house in Seattle, and I cherished my first year. It was a lot of fun. I actually did learn a lot that was pretty important. I go to all my reunions. People seem to forgive me, not having finished the second year. And if any of you find something that you have the same kind of passion and enthusiasm and excitement for, see Dean Joss about it.